We were driving home after a weekend trip when we took a wrong turn and ended up in a small town none of us had ever heard of. It wasn't on the GPS. There were no signs with the town's name, just quiet streets and a few houses that looked oddly familiar. The next morning, we tried to leave, but every road we took circled us right back to the same town. And that's when things started to feel wrong. We were on our way home after a weekend away, driving along a back road through the countryside. It was getting late, and the sun was starting to dip behind the trees. My wife was driving, and I was scrolling through my phone, trying to find a gas station nearby. That's when she said, "Maybe we should take this turn here. It looks like it might cut through and save us some time." I didn't think much of it. The road was narrow, winding through dense woods. After a few minutes, the trees started to thin, and suddenly we were on the edge of a small town. The houses looked old, but well kept. Neat yards, a few kids riding bikes, people sitting on porches. It seemed normal enough. What struck me was that it wasn't on the GPS. My phone had no idea where we were. No street names, no town name, just a blank space. My wife asked a man on his porch if we could find the main highway. He smiled and pointed us down a street but warned, "If you keep going straight, you'll come back here again. Best turn around." We laughed it off, thinking he was joking. But as we followed his directions, things felt strange. The roads looped in a way that didn't make sense. No matter which way we turned, we kept ending up near the town square again. That night, we stayed in a small motel on the edge of town. The clerk was friendly but vague when I asked about the town's name. He said, "Some call it Latchkey, but most just call it home." It was a cozy place, but something about the silence unsettled me. There were no radios or TVs on. The only sound was the faint hum of an old street lamp outside. When we tried to leave the next morning, the roads were worse. Thick fog rolled in, and the town felt deserted. Houses looked empty, doors shut tight, windows dark. We followed the main road out, but the GPS still showed us trapped inside that blank space. After hours of driving, frustration grew. Our gas was low, and phones had no signal. Finally, on a road that looked familiar but should have led us home, we saw a sign. It was old, faded, but it read, "Welcome to Latchkey." But there was no exit ramp, just a fork in the road, both directions leading back into the same town. My wife looked at me and said quietly, "I don't think we're going anywhere." The feeling of being stuck was growing heavy, and I noticed something else. The people we'd seen before, they weren't here anymore. Latchkey had become a loop, a place that kept you inside, whether you wanted to stay or not. That morning, after realizing we were trapped, we decided to explore the town on foot. The fog hung low, muffling sounds, turning everything gray and blurry. The streets were empty now. No kids, no porch sittings, no dogs barking. Just silence. We walked past the houses we'd seen the night before. The yards were overgrown, as if no one had tended them in months. Doors that were once open were now locked tight. The familiar faces were gone. It felt like we'd stumbled into a ghost town. I noticed one house with a light flickering behind the curtains. We approached cautiously. Through the window, I saw a man sitting at a table, hunched over, writing something. He looked up slowly and met my gaze. His eyes were hollow, and when he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "No one leaves once they arrive." We tried to ask him questions, but he just shook his head, mumbling about the loop and the forgetting. Before we could respond, the light went out. When we looked back, the window was dark. The feeling of being watched grew stronger. We hurried back to the motel. My wife was shaken but tried to keep calm. That night, the silence was broken by strange noises. Footsteps outside our door, faint whispering voices, the creak of old wood. We locked the door and stayed close. The next day, desperate, I tried calling for help again. No signal. My phone wouldn't even register the town's name. It was like we were erased from the map. We decided to leave on foot, following the roads in hopes of finding the highway. But every path led us back to the center of Latchkey. The same empty square, the same faded sign. The town was a maze with no exit. Days passed. Our supplies dwindled. We began to forget things. How long we'd been there, our exact route, the faces of loved ones. It felt like the town was erasing our memories, keeping us here forever. Then, on the third night, I woke up to see a shadow standing by the window. The whisper was clear this time. "Latchkey is home now." Days turned into weeks, and the feeling of being trapped only grew heavier. The roads that once seemed like familiar paths became endless circles, each turn leading us back to the same place, the heart of Latchkey. We stopped trying to map the town or count the houses. It didn't matter. Every street looked the same, every corner repeated like a broken record. One afternoon, wandering near the old town square, I found something nailed to a tree. A faded wooden sign with words barely legible. "To those who arrive, beware the door you don't see. Step through, and you might never leave." We searched everywhere, but there was no door. Only the endless streets and houses staring silently at us. At night, the fog thickened, wrapping around the town like a shroud. Sometimes I thought I saw figures in the mist, pale shapes moving slowly, watching from the shadows. When I called out, they vanished. The man from the window, the one with the hollow eyes, appeared again one evening. This time, he spoke softly. "You're part of Latchkey now. The town doesn't let go." I asked if there was a way out. He only shook his head and disappeared into the fog. My wife and I tried to keep hope alive. We talked about our home, our friends, the life we left behind. But each memory felt distant, like a dream fading on waking. Our phones remained useless. No signal, no GPS. The world outside had forgotten us, and maybe we had forgotten it too. Last night, I woke to a whisper near the window. Not words, just a feeling, like the town itself was speaking. Latchkey is home now. I don't know if I'm scared or resigned. The town has a strange hold on me, a pull I can't resist. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I think I see the roads stretching on forever, looping back into themselves, a never-ending maze. And I wonder if anyone who enters Latchkey ever truly leaves.
What you heard tonight, it's just one of many. Subscribe to Hauntica for stories that shouldn't exist.